But I will read.
Before you run off, do you know thank you, the phone number for District 10?
No.
No? Okay, well, somebody knows.
Somebody sure will know the number. Good afternoon, boys and girls, friends and lovers, children of all ages. This is downtown Denver, where we have locked the fence, closed to the public because of an inordinate amount of drug use and mice. Mostly because we have so many people that nobody knows where to live because there's no place to live. The city and county of Denver is a dispersed refugee camp. This is my neighbor. He's awesome. He cooks food for us every week. Thank you very much, Todd. Over here, we have people giving away COVID vax. If you haven't got the jab, get the jab. Come on down. And we have clothing. We have toilet paper. And sanitary napkins and toothpaste and toothbrushes and condoms and sunscreen and floss, coffee, water, right? Look at that, big 5-gallon jugs, because we don't buy single-use trash bottles of water. Instead, we get ones that we can wash week after week after week. By the way, this is Monday Night Mutual Aid with Vera and Jess and the rest of the crew. Hi, friends. We're going to go yell at council tonight. We'll talk to you later. Look at all this great food. Look at this, lemon, cucumbers, salad, melons and watermelons, yams and chickens and zucchini. I mean, the grub is great. Hi. And of course, for those of you who are playing along at home, you should know that there are 6 water fountains located between the city and county government building and the Colorado State Capitol. 4 of them are attached to these beautiful flagpoles that were erected sometime long, long ago. There's no access to the water fountains, and even if there was, they don't work. Hi. Yeah, did you know there's 4 water fountains located out here? They were erected roughly at the same time because they're on these flagpoles. None of them have worked for over a decade. Of the people, for the people, by the people, we will go along the way. Afternoon, gentlemen. It's about to get off by itself, huh? Take it easy, guys.
City Council for about a half hour. Then we'll public comment session. City matters, except for any matters that's scheduled for either a legally required or courtesy public hearing. The public may participate in person or virtually via Zoom. To maximize the time for citizen comment, council will not offer comments or responses to the data. Council and staff may contact speakers following their comment if they raise matters that lend themselves to follow-up. For those participating in person when called upon, please come to the podium. On the presentation monitor on the wall, you will see your time counted down. For those participating virtually when called upon, please wait for our meeting host to promote your speaker. When you are promoted, your screen will flash and say, "Reconnecting to meeting." Please don't leave the meeting. You will be reconnected and will be turn on your camera if you have one, and your microphone. You will see your counting down at the bottom of your screen. Once you finish speaking, you will change back to participant mode and see your screen flash one more time. All speakers should begin their remarks following the council their meeting and will have 3 minutes to speak. Please refrain from profane or obscene speech. Direct your comments to council as a whole and refrain from individual or personal attacks. Our first speaker this evening is in person, and we have Terry Hildebrand with us.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Terry Hildebrand. I'm a resident, small business owner, and property owner for over 25 years in the Golden Triangle neighborhood of District 10. Since the state legislature of Colorado in 2019 defelonized hard drugs, I've seen a dramatic rise in public drug abuse in central Denver. Today, I want you all to see and hear about the human tragedy that is happening right outside my front door. My condo faces an alley, which I now call Heroin Alley, which is located in the Golden Triangle. I've taken photos of the open, public, illegal drug use and drug deals happening every day in our Heroin Alley. All of this is half a block from a preschool academy located at 10th Avenue and Acoma. Here we see a drug addict doing heroin right outside my front door. I took this picture right outside my front door. Here we have a drug deal that's actively happening. I witnessed them exchange drugs for money. This individual slept overnight in the alley, got up and did 2 large shots of heroin while I was on the phone with 911. This individual is preparing to do heroin. This individual was passed out in the middle of the alley. I had to call 911. He was in the middle of a 95-degree day in an open sun. I was worried about him being run over because this alley is frequently fast riders because blaring through this alley, you could like in the picture. This individual was doing heroin, again, that same alley. These two individuals were at the entrance to the Alto Pharmacy parking lot in that same heroin alley. Here you can see the individual on the right of the woman shooting a heroin into her toes. Here's a close-up of that same woman shooting heroin into her toes. Here's another individual. You can see the needle hanging out of his arm. He actually is probably only 23 years old. This was a complete tragedy to see someone this young, completely addicted to heroin, so he has to do it in back alleys. Here's another individual doing heroin. If you look closely, you can see the sores on his back. I was horrified by the situation. It's hard to live with this every day. It gets to you. We have PTSD over this.
I've been doing accounting my entire career. I create accounting procedures for new logistics processes that have not been done before. These things are not easy. They take creativity, data, and logic. We can say we have certain values. However, where we spend our dollars is the true reflection of who we are. I brought up concerns and questions about EHS's invoices at the contract renewal. Those invoices are intentionally misleading to fit in the constraints of the union contract and have other accounting issues. The invoices go to several different departments, and I have to wonder, why aren't they asking the same questions? Maybe they did ask, and then we're okay to just pass it through anyways. But when we do things like this, and then try to figure out how much we are spending on a particular item, it becomes challenging and impossible. How do we know if we are doing a good job, or if we need to change course, if we are not accurately tracking spending and metrics? For example, at the suites, I've been told that this is a city connecting the people with resources, and it's working. How do we know that? Because I listen to public comment from all sides. No one is happy with the outcomes. And the problem is growing every day. We don't know how much we are spending, so how can we say this is a good use of taxpayer dollars? We tried to address these concerns with the city auditor, so they had a predetermined list of items they do for the audit each year. According to the city charter, city council has the power to have the auditor look into something. City council, I'm looking at all of you and asking you, can you please ask for an audit of sweep spending so we can know if we're doing what's intended or if it's time for a new approach. As an accountant, I look at the budget, and it's hard to follow and really easy to jumble dollars in a particular budget line item and have no idea where those dollars go and what they really do. Thank you to the council members who asked questions about equity, project cost breakouts, dashboards, and metrics to track spending and outcomes. We need more of this, and I ask to please keep equity at the forefront of budget decision-making and spending. Our students have been off balance for way too long. We need data, transparency, collaboration, common sense, empathy, and kindness. We need to find ways to work within our groups, across departments, with outside agencies and the public to come together to face the biggest challenges of mankind. We need new creative approaches, and we need to listen to what science is telling us. I'm passionate about a lot of topics, but climate is number one. A lot of people say we can't do anything about it, it's too late, that's not my department, and I see a lot of fingers pointing to other people. But it's time that we come together. And it's our problem. And in the meantime, while we point fingers and kind of just wait for policy and other changes, we're going to choke on the air that we breathe, and we're going to run out of water. So I ask you to please collaborate, fund, and make policy that addresses the climate crisis. Last year's Climate Action Task Force created a plan to make Denver a climate leader, and we need the city to adopt this plan and put it in motion. Without a livable plan, nothing else matters.
Thank you. Next up, we have Frederick Barsley, and he is joining us online.
It's Craig Arts, living in Council District 7. I've talked to several council members, police commanders, numerous officers, Evan Dreyer, Brenda Fisher, City Attorney's Office, Denver District Attorney, urban campers, residents. and business owners about the rapid growth of urban camping in Denver, and here's what I learned. Everyone's frustrated by the city's lack of ability to get this situation under control. Urban campers are the people you see living in tents on the streets and empty lots, lying in front of businesses on the 16th Street Mall and Union Station, or living in either unregistered driving vehicles around town. They are addicted to either meth, heroin, fentanyl, or alcohol. They're not trying to better themselves. They did not recently lose a job. They're not looking for a job. Generally, they are not employed because of their addiction. They refuse help while Denver provides an abundance of services and job opportunities for those willing to work. Denver is a compassionate city. Denver provides more than enough living space to house all of these urban campers under the worst conditions. Every one of these urban campers has been approached by the STAR teams, early intervention teams, and often help on numerous occasions. 99% of these offers for help have declined. Why do we have addicts living on the street? Because in 2019, Governor Polis signed into law House Bill 19-1263, which decriminalized heroin, meth, and fentanyl. The word about Denver is that drugs are legal in Denver, creating a magnet for addicts to come from across the country to come to Denver. The worst part about House Bill 19-1263 is that it eliminated the drug courts, the best chance these addicts have for getting clean, and one of the best tools Denver has for any urban camping. Now they're left on the streets dying in their tents or on our sidewalks. These urban campers cost the city more than $434 million per year, or $104,000 per addict per year, almost 6 times what we spend to educate our children. Urban campers don't have jobs, they don't receive government assistance, their only source of income are such as burglary, robbery, theft, and panhandling. Homeless advocates call these crimes of survival, instead they are crimes of addiction. Urban campers create an unsafe and dangerous situation for residents, businesses, and visitors to Denver. Citizens, both adults and children, are routinely exposed to open drug abuse, assault, shootings, verbal abuse, unsanitary conditions, which you never want to see or hear. What disappointed me the most is that Denver does not have an urban camping. Today, we're moving urban campers around the city. It's a better solution than letting these camps grow in numbers, but not an effective long-term solution. The closest Denver has to a plan today is the proposed 5-year plan. The focus of the 5-year plan is on housing affordability. Remember, urban campers are not living on the street because housing is expensive. In Hope's own words, they only expect to reduce urban camping by 50% in 5 years. The goal should be 100%. The word drug is only mentioned twice in the 152-page report. The host plan is not a plan to make urban camping. It's a plan to create affordable housing. They ask the council to stop looking at urban camping as a housing affordability problem and begin to address the real problem of addiction and lack of enforcement. There should be zero tolerance for urban camps today, not 50% tolerance. Thank you.
Our network is joining us online as well. Olivia Santorama.
Hi, thank you for your service to our city. Every day, we all look at our legal urban camping in our city, and we know that the situation has surpassed any level of order. Our neighborhoods, our most valuable landmarks such as the 16th Street Mall, Union Station, Civic Center, our trails, our parks have literally become open drug camps and dumping grounds for trash, human waste, needles, and drugs. The other day, a woman was laying on the 16th Street Mall. She looked as though she hadn't showered for months. She had no shoes, her feet were black, her top was ripped and barely covering her. It was apparent she had overdosed because if you look close, you could see a needle laying by the backpack. People just like me were walking by her, quick glance and going about their business. A police officer and a security guard across the street talking, yeah, they didn't notice her either. Or maybe they did, yet there she lay, just like all these addicts laying on our streets. She's someone's daughter, sister, friend, perhaps mother. This is not an exception. This is happening everywhere on 16th Street Mall by hundreds downtown and in our neighborhoods. Unsheltered addicts passed out from drug addiction on the street or in a tent. Also, many screaming from a mental health crisis. This is our city, the beautiful and caring city of Denver, and we are the United States. When did we become this? Where's our police and our community? They're not. They've turned their backs to people laying and sometimes dying on our street. The word on our lawless streets are the police and their security are being told hands off unsheltered addicts, using hardcore drugs in our public spaces. They're also hands off for you too, if you become a victim of the unsheltered drug addicts, stealing anything to pay for their addiction, assaulting you if necessary. No justice holding them accountable. Evidence 281 is a stroll down the once beautiful and iconic 16th Street Mall, and They are not the 71-year-old working 2 jobs that can't pay rent. Housing first for addicts will never work. Enforcement of our laws and ordinances are the only way forward to take our city back from the dark state of drug use, crime, and lawlessness. Work together to end the drug epidemic today, not next week, next month, or next year. The unsheltered addicts, taxpayers have provided millions of dollars for services to help you. Accept our help. Free yourself from addiction. We want you to have a skill, a job, and succeed. However, it's illegal for you to camp on our streets. So if you don't accept our help, we can't allow you to sleep on our streets or make victims of our citizens to support their habit. So jail is your next option. And then,
We have allotted for each speaker. Our next speaker, Lynn Rooney, withdrew their name. And sir, in chambers, we need folks to not put up any signs because we want to make sure that folks can see. Thank you. Our next speaker online is Scott Yenser.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Hello?
Yes. You can go ahead.
Okay, hi. My name is Scott Inzer. I'm a resident of Denver. I'm currently on the board of the environmental company in the region. I volunteer at the American Lung Association in Denver. And I'd like to talk about the flavored e-cigarettes and encourage removal of those and legislation to stop the propagation of marketing to children in particularly. Nationally and in Colorado, we've made tremendous progress in reducing e-cigarettes to an all-time low. But unfortunately, there's been stalled progress on this, and the tobacco rate remains high with 32.3% using some form of alcohol. That's the youth. Flavors are one of the main reasons youth use tobacco products and have played a big role in youth vaping epidemic. Research shows that 81% of kids who have ever used tobacco products started with flavored products. Youth also cite flavors as a major reason for their current use of tobacco products. Recognizing that most tobacco users begin their use during adolescence and young adulthood, tobacco companies have spent billions of dollars marketing their products and making them more attractive to young people. While most flavored cigarettes, with the exception of ethanol, have been reduced, it is once again flavored e-cigarettes, which is the problem, as well as cigars to attract youth. With products aiming to taste like gummy bears, Atomic Fireball, Captain Crunch, apple juice, and a wide variety of other fruit, candy, and sweet flavors, there's no question these flavors appeal to youth. Contrary to what you will hear, e-cigarettes are not a tobacco cessation device. Public health authorities in the U.S., including the CDC and Surgeon General, have found there is no valid scientific evidence demonstrating that flavors of electronic cigarettes demonstrating that flavored electronic cigarettes are effective and help smokers quit. So, again, this is an opportunity, with your support, we have the opportunity to make sure that our current middle and high school kids have a chance to be a first tobacco-free generation by restricting the sale of flavored tobacco products. Once again, for Denver to lead the way for public health, thank you very much for your time. And I also support the other members talking about the county in Denver.
Our next speaker this evening is Diane Field.
$83.5 million to study a seventh runway in EIA. This is a terrible idea for at least 2 reasons. First, the construction impacts of the new runway will make the climate disaster worse. climate impacts. Second reason, our national government is telling us there will continue to be pandemics coming at us for the foreseeable future. If true, there won't be enough travelers to justify a seventh runway. So you're wasting $83.5 million plus the construction costs that could be spent to actually address the climate disaster. I'm switching topics to Denver's street enforcement team. Who are they? A bunch of vigilantes who will issue citations for the activities of daily living of unhoused people in Denver. These enforcement personnel will be armed with pepper spray, so unhoused people should expect to be pepper sprayed starting in mid-October. In addition to lots of pain, pepper spray can cause a serious allergic reaction in some people and requires immediate rinsing with milk and then soapy water to clean the oil off the skin. How many unhoused people do you know who keep milk and soapy water on hand? Thanks a lot, Denver. The purpose of the street enforcement team is to give our unhoused neighbors criminal records and put them in jail, not to help them. Unhoused people don't have money to pay fines, and they won't receive notice of their court dates because keeping and charging a cell phone is impossible on the street. They'll be hit with failure to appear warrants for their address. Thanks a lot, Denver. The only services Denver offers is going to a shelter. Many of you may remember Mary Ann Thompson, who has spoken to you countless times over the years. Her youngest daughter was just assaulted in the new women's shelter by one of the male staff. Thanks a lot, Denver. Why the hell do we have a male staff in a women's shelter? City Council approved the contract for that. Goodbye.
Thank you. Our next speaker in Chambers is Brian Mullen. Followed by Ann Moscow, and then Rose Anderson in Chambers as well.
Who takes the handouts? Sorry. Good afternoon, Council. As you may know, my name is Brian Mullen. I'm a resident and employer here in the city and county of Denver. I live in Council District 9. First thing I want to say is no bull, no on Julie. We need housing before we need publicly funded arenas. Corporations have plenty of money to fund those things. Everybody speaking tonight, most everybody has spoken about the condition of the city. And I've been thinking about how did we get here. A few weeks ago, we celebrated the 10-year anniversary of the Occupy Wall Street movement. The last bastion of that was here in the city and county of Denver. Occupy Wall Street focused on the fact that 99% of money is held by 1% of the people. And it looked at situations like how corporations own housing. Denver's housing stock is 48% or so rentals, and it's growing as we move upward. Those are primarily owned by corporations. The message is still the same. In May 2012, after the last standing Occupy encampment here in Denver fell in February, Council passed their camping ban, a series of rules criminalizing homelessness. 10 years later, we're looking at a city that is full of the unhoused. We live in a city that is known as a sanctuary city. Recently, I took a client of mine on a tour, and they said this looks more like a dispersed refugee camp than it does a sanctuary city. And I know that we're growing, we're just sucking out some really good money on those marijuana taxes. A couple weeks ago, I actually listened to Michael talking about how we've collected over $1 billion in marijuana taxes since it became legal to sell to everybody, and everybody wanted to move to Colorado. criminalizing people who can't afford a place to live. I have to beseech you, with a $1.5 billion budget, is this methodology effective? I've handed a pass out for each one of you, a bumper sticker, for the website stopthesweeps.com. I hope you'll take some time to go look at it. But what I'm really here to speak about right now is Prop 303. I want everybody to consider listening at home a no vote. Because not only would this require more city-funded and ran encampments, it would allow private entities to round people off the streets to move them in. That doesn't sound very smart to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ann Mosso. She was going to be in person. Ann? All right, we'll go ahead and go to our next speaker, Carlos Anderson. Carlos Anderson. All right, he's going to be with us in person. Our next speaker is Brian Wilson, joining us online. Oh, is Carlos on that? Okay. All right, oh, sorry, Carlos. That's right, you are on Zoom, so go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah, there is some confusion there, I apologize. I'll try to be very brief on time. Guys, my name is Carlos Diaz Anderson, and I live here in Denver, Colorado. I just moved to District 5. I just wanted to speak very briefly on a couple of opportunities I think we have before us might address some of the issues that have been brought up here at this council meeting. What I'm trying to do, I'm currently working as the advisor for Governor Jared Polis, the Office of Operations of the Capitol, and I'm trying to gather support for a Medicaid waiver expansion that would include people who have both co-occurring psychiatric disabilities and substance abuse disorders, as somebody who themselves suffers from a psychiatric disability as well as someone in recovery from drug and alcohol abuse. I think this would probably address a number of the issues the folks tonight have been bringing up. And I know you all are members of the Democratic Party. You can reach out to the folks at the legislature and maybe get the ball rolling on this. There's currently infrastructure that exists already for developmental disability waiver that provides wraparound services, including housing to folks who suffer from developmental disabilities. And it's my sincere belief, as someone who's worked as both a social worker with the Community Center for Rocky Mountain Human Services organization, as well as in healthcare policy and financing, that this would be a great way to probably resolve perhaps 20 to 40% of the issues that people on the street are experiencing today. So if we can get some support for doing those things, that would be great. I also volunteer with the St. Francis Center at Regis State Outdoor Space, and my son attends Hebrew School at Temple Michael, which is in the same building as the Park Hill United Methodist Church, the two state outdoor spaces that exist in the city. And I've got to tell you that I think it's a great idea to continue to expand it. It's not the only solution, but it is part of what could be a solution to that problem. One thing I did want to bring to the attention of the council is that those ice fishing tents you have people that are not really designed to be out in the sun in the summer especially, and they're kind of deteriorating using elastomeric to try to seal the seams and make them weatherproof. Those aren't going to last for long, and I wanted to push the idea of perhaps partnering with your Office of Emergency Management to acquire tents that might be more seasonal, just to have on hand in case there was a natural disaster in the meantime. Perhaps employ them to, if you can get the communities of faith or anyone else who owns a parking lot space or other space that you can use to dedicate to house our in-house neighbors, that might be an opportunity that you can take as a city. There's more than $4 billion available from the ARPA funds coming from Congress for recovery, and this is just an idea that you might pass on to us to host, to do something along those lines. And then one last thing before I'm cut off. I don't know that I can get behind the idea of expanding shelters when some of the people have made comments that people don't want to go into shelters because they're being required to get off drugs before they get in. Anyone who's been dealing with folks who are in house
compelled to come to you today to ask for your help, where I see many other people talking about the same things that I'm talking to you about today. Since none of you live in this neighborhood, let me paint the picture for you. I walk out on my balcony and I look down and there are tents, trash, barbecue grills, and bikes, stolen bikes. There are homeless encampments block after block as I go to the store or run errands. The sweeps come and the people, the drugs, and the crime just move a few blocks away. And then they come back. This weekend I watched a man shoot up from my balcony. Last weekend we called 911 to help a naked man in a mohawk across the street. A month ago I tried to stop a bike thief, literally cutting a bike off from the back of the car while I pulled out of my parking garage. He had no fear because he knew the police wouldn't do anything. We had our bikes stolen from inside our locked parking garage. We've also seen a group of unhoused men attack another man with a pipe, and it took 20 minutes for the police to respond to our 911 call. There is story after story on Nextdoor if you want to look for more examples. They're all out there. What do you all see when you walk out of your front door? Can you walk around the block in your neighborhood and feel safe? The people in our neighborhood want to be safe. We also want the unhoused to be safe and healthy. We want them to have a safe, clean place to live and support for mental health issues or drug addiction. The problem is we have criminals living among the unhoused, and their behavior is allowed to continue. I'm a compassionate person and want to help the unhoused, but the crime, drugs, and unsanitary conditions are not acceptable for anyone, either housed or unhoused. Please fix this. Please make my neighborhood safe again. Please make my city beautiful again. Please make this a place we all want to live again. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our general public comment session. The next session will be held on Monday, October 4th. Sign-up begins at 12 noon on Friday, October 1st. We look forward to hearing from you all again. Thank you for attending, and please stay with us. We need a couple moments to switch over for the Denver City Council meeting this evening. Thank you. Good evening. Tonight's meeting is being interpreted in Spanish. Alejandro, would you please introduce yourself and let our viewers know how they can enable translation on their devices?
Muy bien, muchas gracias por tener aquí con ustedes de nuevo. Thank you very much for having me with you once again. Mi nombre es Alejandro Tejeda, presidente de Business en el día de hoy. Si ustedes prefieren escuchar mi presentación en español, van a poder hacer o seleccionar el idioma en la parte inferior de la pantalla. De ahí van a poder poner el audio original en modo para que solamente escuchen el idioma de su preferencia. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Three sheriffs in the building. 4. There's, you touched me very much, sir. Your passion, compassion to put that in their faces. Quite honestly, if it was me, I would have put those up in every seat that was empty until somebody came and replaced it with the body.
They asked me to take them down.
I know. I would have done it though. Would you like to show me some of the photos that you have? We recorded your speech earlier.
Sure.
I was live streaming, but you sound like a very, very sad person who sees on a daily basis, as I would describe it, the issues of drug addiction and houselessness in our city. And I see that you made some photographs. I feel like this is almost like a Norman Rockwell moment here. But these are humans in their living conditions. doing the things that they may or may not do in a house. So
This is from what I call Heroin Alley,
Heroin Alley. So this is an alley here in the city and county of Denver,
which is right outside my front door.
which is outside your front door. Or do you live in downtown Denver?
I live in the Golden Triangle.
You live in the Golden Triangle. So you live in the historic Five Points.
No,
No,
it's
that's a little
south.
farther this way.
It's near Broadway and 9th.
Oh, I'm thinking the other direction, the Golden Triangle that way. I'm thinking of a different triangle. So Broadway and 9th, and that's over by 9 News.
Yes.
Yes, and there's a Trader Joe's near there as well, as I remember.
Oh, which one?
A Trader Joe's,
Yes,
like
it's
8th.
a little east of there.
Okay. And so there's people that find that space to be a place they live regularly.
Well, they sleep overnight sometimes, and they do drugs day in and day out, heroin, meth, drug deals, and this is half a block from a child care center.
Okay. Now, I'm curious, a few years ago, the city and county of Denver, these folks here sitting in chambers, chose not to have a space where a nurse was physically present when people injected to ask them if they wanted to quit. The city chose not to allow for safe injection sites where people could trade their needles. They would keep them so they weren't all over the ground littering our city.
There's a needle exchange that's 2 blocks from here.
There's a needle exchange 2 blocks from here or from there?
Heroin Alley.
From there. And do you think that it would be different if they were able to, if the needle exchange didn't give needles out to give them away, but gave them to use on site?
Well, what happens is they give needles out and then they're left all over the neighborhood, unfortunately.
Are there trash cans available in the neighborhood?
In fact, this is right next to 4 dumpsters. They're doing the heroin next to the dumpster.
And they're just not making it in. It's a litter problem. I understand it.
Yeah, I mean, people actually dig trash out of these dumpsters instead of put trash into them. They're literally next door to the dumpster here, as you can see, doing meth. These guys have a meth pipe right here, as you can see.
Yeah.
You can see.
Yeah.
that
Do you think it'd be
happening.
different if they had a house to live in?
They would probably be stealing bicycles to fund their habits.
So you think that people who are housed that use drugs would be stealing?
Yeah, to fund their habits.
I want you to know that not all drug dealers or addicts are like that. As a former crack cocaine addict, I never once stole from anybody. And
Well, I think there's a difference between the unsheltered, housed, and people who have jobs.
I was unhoused due to my crack cocaine addiction.
Here you can
And,
see another individual.
it wasn't really until I got housing,
Heroin.
that I was able to get sober.
Here's another one doing heroin.
There's a lot of people doing heroin. They said it's so bad that they had to shut the park down downtown.
Exactly. And a lot of these folks probably moved from the park to this.
To your neighborhood.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you think the solution is? Because we obviously have a problem.
We need to re-felonize drugs, hard drugs, so the police have a way to get people off the streets and into treatment. When we used to have a felony offense for hard drugs, there was such a thing as a drug court. Drug courts
But we
were-
have drug courts still.
No, they've been eliminated because.
Oh, it's homeless court now.
There's no more drug courts, they were eliminated, so now the police just give people a ticket for doing meth and heroin every day outside my home.
So open consumption. I'm just curious, like do
This woman
you
is injecting heroin into
her feet?
toes, right here. And if the police told me, here's a needle you can see.
Yeah, I get it, but you sound traumatized by
I'm
this.
very traumatized by this. This individual probably isn't more than 23 years old.
So how do we solve this problem of all this drug addiction? Why aren't the police arresting the meth dealers?
They are.
They are.
But you take one out, there's another 5 that take its place because Denver's become known as a open drug market. Our civic center was covered with drug dealers. That's why they closed it. And the reason for that is because we don't have a way to get people off the streets.
But I'm confused by this, because if the police are arresting the drug dealers, then wouldn't I be going to trials for people who are dealing meth all the time?
So when you have a constant need for this, and we're allowing this to happen every day in front of people's homes, and we don't have a way to actually get addicts off the street.
That's right, we don't have a
We
place
don't
for them to
have
go,
a-
do we?
No, it's not about that. There's shelters. There's more than enough shelters for all of these people tonight.
There is.
Yes, absolutely.
I thought for the 38,000 people that lived unhoused in the metropolitan community, there's only about housing
No,
for
there's
about
only about
6,000.
1,200 on the street.
No, that
That's all
can't be
there
true.
is about 1,200 on the street. The rest are
1,200
already-
in the
The
street.
rest are already in shelters at this point. That's what the city estimates.
Is that,
However-
is that like affirmed by like Denver Homeless Out Loud or the Colorado
These
Coalition?
These are the folks in the city who monitor the situation.
So I'm asking,
The
because you're stating
reality-
some statistics, I'm
the reality
asking
is-
you if those numbers have been validated by the service agencies that are out there on the streets taking care of the people as well.
Yeah, these are the city government officials that are out there every day. The STAR team, the early intervention team, they monitor these.
They said there's only
situations.
1,100 people left
About
on the street.
1,200 who are
1,200.
actively. The rest are actually in either shelters or hotel rooms. So the 5,500 includes everyone, not just the.
Well, 5,500 is a point time count. It doesn't, that's for one section of time, right? And that's like assuming that they probably didn't get to half of them.
So the reality is that we've been told this in public record, and it's on video if you want to see it.
I would.
That every single person could be housed tonight. What we have is people who are openly doing drugs and don't want to give up their addiction.
So we're outside right now with people who are unhoused, feeding about 150, 200 tonight. You're telling me that every one of those people outside that eats our food tonight could have a place to stay tonight if they
That's
wanted
right.
it?
That's what the city's told us, yeah.
Have you shined that in the light to see if it's true?
So
Because the city also told me that like it was illegal to film a police officer while they were doing their job, but the judge said that that was a lie and that it's actually legal to do that.
So the shelters right now have space. If all those people out in front of this building wanted to go to a shelter, they could. So that's the reality.
And is that shelter going to provide them long-term protection for their property? Are they limited in how much they're allowed to own? I have questions, because if I was unhoused right now, no shelter would be able to store half my property.
So there are places for storage in the new facility that the mayor just opened.
Where's that?
Not long ago. It's near Colorado and I-70. So I think it's 48th Avenue. So if you go over there, you can check it out. It's all on the website. If you want to look, Google Mayor Open New Shelter, you can see it. And they provide meals, every 3 meals a day.
Okay.
24/7 shelter.
24/7.
And place for people to store their belongings.
So I can send my employee over there, and he can like leave all his property there, he can take a shower, and he can come to my office smelling good in the morning.
They do have showers at that facility, absolutely.
I want to put this to the test, because I literally had to kick the guy out of the building because he had everything with him.
Well, it
And
depends
it
on how much stuff you have. Some of the,
was a backpack and a sleeping bag.
well, I'm sure that's a small amount of stuff, so they do have storage for people's belongings there.
I want to know more.
Yeah, you can find it right on the city's website.
Let's stay connected,
Okay, sure.
because I'd like to put this to the test. I'd like to ease your PSCD and theirs, right? Because people can't get well if their surroundings don't promote it.
Absolutely.
And as somebody who's been off of crack for 15 years,
Yeah.
I can understand how traumatic it is to be in a situation where you're on drugs
Right.
and what that does to you. But I also recognize that the fight or flight of surviving on the street is one where sedation and deadening of the mind because life has little value and you're not valued as a human can also occur. And so I know that for a decade we've been doing it wrong. You know, that our sexual assault, our rape, our crime rates, the wellness of the city has gone down. And that's the thing that we all have to figure out how to solve.
No doubt about that. So we're in agreement on that. And, you know, the shelter that I'm mentioning, the new one that's on the website that Mayor Hancock announced, also has drug treatment services, counseling, and healthcare. So anyone who really would like to get better.
But is it, and I ask this because I don't know all the answers in the world, but is it predicated on the fact that housing is only available if you want to get better?
Well, right now you aren't allowed to do open heroin and meth in the shelter itself because we all know how that
that's
can
gonna
create
work out.
havoc, right? It creates
Right.
havoc. I see it every day outside my house.
So what are other solutions do you think that we could come up with in addition to that so that people can transition into that mindset? Because as a, again, person who actively used hard drugs, I could have never gone from full-blown addict to sober overnight.
Sure.
And predicated on the fact that the people around me, when I was ready, they supported me, and they knew that for months I slipped.
So 12-step programs are obviously designed for that. That's the whole purpose of them.
Sure.
And they're available
They are.
almost every day of the week,
Right.
almost every hour.
So you think that we have 1,200 drug addicts living in the city on the streets, pretty
Well,
much?
I couldn't say that all 1,200 are addicted, but the ones in my neighborhood are for sure. I've never seen one person living in a tent in my
Do you want them to close off your alley like they did the city park?
If that's what it takes, because right now it's just untenable.
Okay. Thanks for your time, man. What was your name again?
My name's Terry Hildebrand.
Terry Brian Loma. Nice to meet
Take
you.
care.
You too. Well, folks, it's been a long day. Time to go. Back down to feed the homeless and the unhoused neighbors. We've got news for them. They all have the ability to have housing tonight. I heard it here at City Council from Terry Hildebrand. Isn't that amazing news? I'm super stoked. I gotta figure out where we're gonna sign up for this though, because it just doesn't quite fit. It's still daylight. Shit. I gotta go share this amazing news. How's it going? Good. Look at all these beautiful humans. Feeding, eating.
That's sad.
Oh, that is a waste of food.
Well, somebody obviously drove it.
Oh, I know, it's sad. I just learned that there's housing for everybody available if they want it. Terry Hildebrand just told me that the mayor has clearly indicated that everybody who wants to have a place to live.
Did you like slap her up, man, or something?
No, that's a guy.
A guy?
Yeah. He had all, you're gonna have to watch my feed. He had all these pictures of people with heroin needles out of their arms and all this stuff. And then he said, there's housing for everybody if they want it.
Yeah. Well, that's.
Well, you know, this is what I'm trying to figure out. Because allegedly there's housing for everyone. That's good. Yeah, I thought it was good too. So, folks, that's the response. Look at that shirt. Look at that shirt we printed on my machine. Isn't that great? Terry Hildebrand? Yeah, I literally like took the time to interview him and like try to hear what he.
At the sleep, I'm gonna say let's house everybody. Terry Hildebrand said there's housing for everybody.
According to the mayor, that's what he said. I got it live.
We're gonna say let's house everybody.
Yeah. If they want a space to live, he says it's there for everybody. That's him right there, actually.
Really?
Yeah, that's Terry. He's got a bunch of pictures of people with needles in their arms.
Go over there, let him right now. There's a lot of people here looking for housing right now. What can he help do to facilitate this right now?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, we're trying to figure it out and have community solutions. So, that's Terry. He says that everybody's got housing if we want it. Yeah, that's the guy. So I want my friends to go and be nice to him, and they will.
Never a dull moment.
This is a softer, gentler Brian Loma, a.k.a. Cut the motherfucking guy. Yes, I thought that was a fancy thing to wear with my shirt. I printed one of those.
Good.
Didn't come out half as good as that. Because Lex is better at it than I am.
She comes up back home every day.
Yeah, well, now that we have 2 platinums.
We have sets now, so I can like.
Have one ready to, yeah, so is it yet?
No, they arrived today.
Oh, cool.
So we're gonna use them tomorrow. I got a bubble
What is that? Who's that?
That's Terry Hildebrand. He's the guy that said there's housing for everybody. So they're over there talking. No, we're being nice to each other. We're trying to find solutions that work for everybody. Because the man has a little PSTD. He's a little stressed out with everybody doing heroin in his neighborhood. Week after week after week, saving life after life. It's hard for him.
I'm violent. Hey, you can call them.
Check it out. Please come next week, talk to the DPD officers in the morning and ask them. Is there shelter
If
space
you're
for
not
any
full
of
of
these
crap,
people?
come and see for yourself.
I've been to 90 this year.
You said enough shelters, not enough housing.
You said shelters. There's not enough shelters. There's not enough shelters either. Know that.
Well, I'm just engaging in fellow citizens in a way that is trying to get the conversation to really get the truth out. Because if there is housing, and the mayor says, and I can't pay attention to everything Hancock says, if he says there's shelters and housing for everybody who wants it, then but shelter isn't
It's a Band-Aid on a broken leg.
Yeah,
it doesn't fix two nights in
Yeah.
shelter, 3 nights in shelter, 30 nights in shelter, does not remove the person that you don't want on the corner from the corner. The only thing that does that is housing. And we know from the HOST 5-year plan that we are deficient in 0 to 30% AMI housing by over 20,000 units in Denver. And so if you really look at the statistics, go look at the host plan and read it. It'll tell you right there that we don't have housing for the people who make little to no income.
You're gonna take 200 or 260,000 units of housing off of local landlords.
So do you know that there are no couple shelters in Denver? None at all exist whatsoever. So if your partner, I know a woman who's epileptic, and her partner takes care of all of her physical needs, and they cannot get shelter.
Make it significant.
I mean,
So there's right.
I don't know if that is true about the no.
I welcome you to check that fact and do not take my
So
word.
you don't believe BMO, but you believe someone that works for the mayor? It's just offhand, but you won't. These people do some statistics all over the
Released a
place.
report that we
They do the
presented to city
statistics that are real.
What's the symbolism of that?
Thank you for checking it out. And thank you for having the conversation. Have a good afternoon.
The facts to put out there.
Hey, that's a brand new BMW.
Everyone can have a golden beamer.
So that we can get funded to do clothing for activism.
Think you're in the same fucking world as
Okay, I'm hustling, but I'm also live.
Gave me my tip today.
You got one?
Yes. She's saying.
Nice. Wow, good. Probably need it.
Yeah. I'm happy. And it's low right now, so it's going to pop up.
Yeah, that's great. All right, folks. Well, we're going to close this out because there's other things like the Auditor Summit and going on that I got to get to. So there you have it, a controversy of ideas and mindsets. Meanwhile, we're going to continue to provide... Oh, I should say hi to some of the people in the chat if I can find you. Let's see. White Wolf, Carol Funk. Well, thank you all for being in here. Looks like I got a couple of you chatters. Mick Love, Robert Gauss. Good to see you, buddy. I can't see anything on the screen. I actually have to physically touch it. So, all around the Pig's Asses Port, good to have you here. I'm a human. Jesse Paris, thank you. Mars, thank you very much. Good to see you. Everybody, we're going to let you go. We're out here every Monday night, 4 o'clock till 7. Rain, sun, or snow. Sundays too, 9:30 a.m. Peace.